Okay, welcome back to round 2 of our Motzei Shabbos marathon, as we're holding by the Mishnah on Daf Kuf Lamed, and the Gemara tells us, Ha'omer ish ploni yarsheni. Now this is the standard party line, the sheet of Rav Meir. If a person says, Chatzkel says that someone other than his son should inherit him, or someone other than his daughter should inherit b'makom sheyesh bas. Let's say he wants to give it to his brother, but there's a daughter comes first. Or biti tirsheni b'makom sheyesh ben, or he says my daughter should inherit me with is a son. Le'amaklam. That's he didn't say anything. Why? Shehisna mashikasa b'Torah. He stipulated against what it says in the Torah. Remember, he used the lashon of Yerusha. Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika says, "Im amar al mi shiraya l'yarsha." Now, I'm going to explain Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika according to the classical line, and that is, if he says, let's say he has 2 sons, Reuven and Shimon. If he says that Shimon should get everything, so im amar al mi shiraya l'yarsha, if he says about someone in the line of the Yerusha that he should get everything, dvar kayam. Or if he only has daughters and he says just his third daughter should get everything, he could do that. However, val misha ein ra'ilay liyarshay, but if he says it about someone not in the line of Yerusha, that means he has sons and he says his daughter should inherit, so she's not in the line of Yerusha, then ein dvar kayam. That doesn't work. So that's the simple way to learn the Mishnah, except as the Gemara proceeds to show us, there is, through inference, there is a contradiction in the Mishnah. Because what does the Tanakama say? The Tanakama says, Taima da'acha b'makom bas. You can't give to a brother when there's a daughter. Or ubas b'makom ben. You can't give to a daughter when there's a son. That's what the Tanakama says. Mashma. Ha ben bein abanim. If you want to give to one son amongst many sons. Ubas bein abanim. So if you only have daughters and you want to give to one daughter amongst many daughters. Dvar of kayamim. Now, in essence, if that inference is correct, then that's exactly what Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika says. Eimer sefer Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika Eimer. If you have many sons and you say that the son should inherit Dvar Kayamim, then Hainu Tanakama. That's the same thing as the Tanakama. So now suggests the Gemara, well, maybe we're learning Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika wrong. Maybe Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika holds that a bigger chiddush, that you could give it to the person that's immediately next in the Yerusha. That means if you have sons, you could also give it to a daughter, since she's immediately next. Or if you have daughters, you could give it to a brother. If you have sons, you can't give it to a brother because that's 2 steps away. So says the Gemara, V'chi Tema, maybe this is pshat in the Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika. V'chi Tema, Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika, afilu achar b'makom bas. That you could give it to a daughter, even if you could give it to a brother, even if there's a daughter, because he's just next in the line of Yerusha. Or a bas b'makom ben kamer, or you could give it to a daughter where there's a son. Says you can't learn that. That's pshat in Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika. But Tanya, we learned in the Brayso, Rabbi Yishmael ben Oisha, Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika Eimer. Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika, says, Lo nechleka abba v'chachamim al achar b'makom bas. Don't think that you could give it to a brother with there's a daughter, or a bas b'makom ben, or to a daughter with there's a son. Shloya maklum. Even Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika holds that's nothing. Aman echleka. Where did they argue? Al ben bein abanim, or bas bein abanis. If there's sons, Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika says you can give it to one son amongst many sons. Or if there's only daughters, you could give it to one daughter amongst many daughters. She'abba oimer yiresh. Abba says you could do that. Chacham oimrim lo yiresh. But we said, that sounds like the Tanakama. So the Gemara says, well, maybe that's the machlokes. The Tanakama holds that Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika says that you could even give it to the next in line, a daughter when there's a son, and a brother when there's a daughter. While Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka, doesn't hold that way. Since Rabbi Yishmael had to say, my father is not arguing that way, the Tanakama holds, Rabbi Yochanan holds, you could even go it to the next one in line. Or else, you're right. There's no machlokes in the Mishnah. The Tanakama is Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka. You were right in your inference. It says, it's all Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka. There's a missing text. If a man says, my brother should inherit me with as a daughter, or biti tirsheni b'makom sheyesh ben, or my daughter should inherit me when there's a son, lo yama klum. Ha bas bein abanas, but if you want to give it to one of the daughters when there's only daughters, or ben bein abanim, or one of the sons when there's only sons, im amar yirshu kol nechasav, he says one daughter or one son should get everything, v'arv kayamim, sher Rabbi Yochanan amar, it's all Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka, sher Rabbi Yochanan amar, im amar al mi shirai liyarsha, if he says he has many sons, so they're fit to be Yerush, devar of kayamim, if he says it should all go to one son, that works. So says the Gemara, you should know that that's the halacha. The law is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka. The law is that if Chatzkel has many sons and he says only one son should get the Yerusha, it works. Amar Rava, my time at Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka. What's the reason for Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka? Why does Rabbi Yochanan ben Brayka say you could do this? On the day where he transmits Yerusha to his children. That means that it's up to him. It's not fully scripted. Because he could say that one son should get it and the other son shouldn't. To transmit to any one of his sons, if there's daughters, to any one of his daughters. So Abaye says, I thought that the source was somewhere else. Amalei Abaye ha milo yucha levaker nafka. It says that you. I have to mute people. Amalei ha milo yucha levaker nafka. Now we learn out that it says you can't take away the firstborn portion. Mashma, the firstborn portion you can't take away, but a regular portion you could take away from one son and give it to another. Says no, from lo yuchal levaka we learn something else. Ha'uma bayale lekidisanya. Abba Chanan Amar Mishum Rebbe Eliezer. Abba Chanan says in the name of Rebbe Eliezer, Ma Talmud Loima lo yuchal levaker. That you're not allowed to take away the firstborn portion. You know why? Since it says that a father could determine to give it to one son over other sons, a regular son, he's strong, he takes a portion in that which is not in this state at the time of death, but only comes afterwards. And yet, the Torah gives a permission to the father to strip one of his children, regular children, and give it only to one of his sons, and give it to another son. Then Bechar is less strong, because the Bechar, he doesn't get Barai. He only gets a double portion in that which is in the estate. So we should say, like Kol Shchein, that the father can't strip him of the double portion. The father cannot take away his double portion from him. So says the Gemara, lo yuchal levaker. Let it just say, lo yuchal levaker, matamad loimer, v'hoyu b'yoyim hinchilu esbanav. Why does it say, v'hoyu b'yoyim hinchilu esbanav? So simple. Shiyachal. Valaydinu. The Bechor is weak. He doesn't get that which is coming to the estate later. He doesn't get a double portion. Yet the Torah says that the father can't strip him of that double portion. Amar Torah lo yuchal avaker. Pashit, a son, sheyafa kaichai, that he has a bigger strength. He takes a regular portion, even in that which is owed to the estate. Like that the father cannot strip one of the sons of his share. The day when the father transmits to his children, the Torah gives permission to the father to give to whoever he wants. Now, Amar Reb Zvika, Amar Reb Ami, Amar Reb Chanina, Amar Rebbe. Reb Zvika says in the name of Reb Ami, who says in the name of Rebbe, Halacha k'Reb Yochanan ben Broika. The law is like Reb Yochanan ben Broika. Now, Amalei Reb Abba Hora Itma. He did an actual case like Reb Yochanan ben Broika. So, b'may kamiflagi, Mar Savar Halacha Adifa, the definitive statement that that's the halacha is better. Or Mar Savar Maisarav, it's more certain if you cite an actual case that he paskined. One holds that halacha is a definitive statement. The other one says, well, maybe he said it at the time of learning and maybe changed his mind. But if he actually ruled the case that way, then he was very careful before he ruled it. So Tan Rabbana, Ein Lameidin halacha loy mepi limud. We can't derive a halacha from what a Rebbe says in a shir. V'loy mepi ma'isa, and not even from a case, because maybe that case had differences that you don't know. Ad sheyomer loy, until the Rebbe tells him halacha l'ma'isa. This is halacha that you should actually do. Shal, if he asks v'amaloi halacha l'ma'isa, and he tells him that this is halacha to do, yelech v'yasa ma'isa, he could do it, u'belvat shelo yedam, as long as he doesn't apply it to another case. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? My belvat shelo yedam. V'kol Torah kula, the whole Torah is demuya madamin Allah. The whole Torah is making applications, is mavin davar mitoich davar. So the Gemara says, no, this is restricted to treifus. Amar Rav Ashi Hachi Kamer, V'lvad shelo yedama b'treifus. In an animal, we know that an animal is not kosher if it has certain fatal flaws. We'll have a parak, the third parak in Chulin, and Elu Treifus, where we'll learn about this. So you can't make a comparison if there's a cut on one side to a cut on the other side. The Tanya, Ein Aymin b'treifus zu doima lezu. You can't say by treifus that this is like this. V'al tatama. Shari chaytcha mekan, if you cut the organ on one side, umeisa, it will die. Chaytcha mekan, if you cut it on the other side, v'chaysa. This side has two membranes, that side only has one membrane. Amalei Rav Asi Rav Yochanan. Rav Asi said to Rav Yochanan, Ki Amar lon mar halacha. Again, Amalei Rav Asi Rav Yochanan, Ki Amar lon mar halacha. Hachi navin ma'isa. Should we do it like the statement halacha? Amar, so he said no. Lo yisavidu adamina halacha l'ma'isa. It's halacha to do it. Halacha is not enough. Amalu Rava l'Rav Papa l'Rav Huna b'Reid Rav Yeshua. Rava gave the following instructions to his very, very great Talmidim, Rav Papa and Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua. Ki asi piska didina didila kamaychu. If you get a record, a written psak of mine that comes before you, v'chazita beik pircha, and you have a question on it, so loy tikra'uhu, don't tear it up, ad isisa l'kamay, until it gets to me. Iyesli taima, if I have a reason to answer your question, amilochu. V'ilai, and if not, then hadranabi, then I'll retract. It says many times, hadr uke Rava Amayra, he retracted. La'achamisa, Rava said after his death, if they get a psak from him that they have a question on, loy mikra tikra'u, don't tear it up, or migmar nami loy tigmaru minei, but you also can't follow it. Lo mikra tikra'ine, don't tear it up. The Avi Hassan, if I was there, I would have answered it. So keep it written so other generations could study it. However, you can't follow it. Migmar nami loy tigmaru minei, you can't follow it. Since you don't understand it, you can't follow it, and you have to paskin the way you understand. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we'll stop over here now, Rabbi Isai, and now we are going to, one second. One second. Now we're going to do the Mishnah Yaimes.